web design. And I think that's very important, especially right now as you see everything that's going on with Facebook. And I know that a lot of people, especially churches, we've been using Facebook as a primary means of communicating with members or just getting the word out about the ministries that we have to offer. But as Facebook is coming under scrutiny for the way they've been sharing people's information, I think that it's important for us to start looking at ways that we can market ourselves and control our message outside of social media platforms. So I'm not going to get too deep with it, so you probably won't be able to design your own website by the end of this session, but you will have some ideas about creating a website and how they work. I have a very different, well, I think it's a different way of approaching website design. I've been designing websites for probably about 10 years now. And the one thing that bothers me the most that I see with my clients when they worked with other designers and the other designer owns the domain name and they own the website, and it's hard for the client to get control of their site. So what I usually get my clients to do is you purchase your domain name and you purchase the hosting, and then you give me access to your account, and then I'll go in and do the design for you, but you always own the account. So that way, if you decide you don't want to work with me anymore, or if I fall off the face of the earth, I mean, who knows what can happen, then you're not dependent on me to get access to your website. I've seen so many people have to buy new domain names, or they have to start all over with their website design because their designer is holding their website hostage. So definitely don't want to see you guys end up in that situation. So we are going to start our screen share. So tonight, again, we're doing website design. Having an online presence is critical for churches and ministries these days, because a lot of people are going to go and Google you. And when they Google you, if they don't find any information about you or about your ministries, then they're going to go on to the next church. And you also want to have someone to design a site for you that is going to be easy for you to update, because I've also seen people get websites and they can't update them. So if you change your service time, you can't go in and change the service time or change the program time. And so someone shows up at your church at the wrong time. I know I went to a church and I thought that the service was going to start at 11. And I get there and I was like, wow, like everybody's already here. Like, this is a good sign. And I got in and the preacher was getting ready to preach, and church started at 10. And I'm not one of those people that likes to be late. I like to be punctual. And so it really kind of bothered me that I was a whole hour late, that I missed a part of the worship experience. And so you don't want visitors to be turned off by that. So that's what we're going to be discussing this evening. And then next month is our last webinar, boo. But it's definitely been a lot of fun. And we're going to talk about email marketing. So once we get through the website design, then we'll start talking about how do we actually go out and use these tools and market to our target or our members. So I want to thank you again to the Connectional Lake Council for tapping me to take on this project. It has definitely been a pleasure to work on, and it's been so cool going around the country to get connectional meetings and different events and seeing people, and they're like, hey, I know you, you're the lady that does the webinars. So to be able to meet some of the people in person after this experience has been amazing. So our agenda tonight, we're going to talk about domains. We're going to talk about the purpose of your website. I'll go over 3 of the more popular hosting platforms and talk to you about what is hosting, why do you need hosting, and then we'll go over design, what content do you need on your site, and then images and videos. So as always, if you have any questions while we are going through the presentation, feel free to stop me because I can talk a little fast and I get a little excited. So just let me know if you need me to slow down or to repeat something. So jumping right in, domains. First, you want to choose a domain name that is relatively easy. For my domain name, let's see if this is going to start. For my domain name, I chose womacCG.com instead of womacconsultinggroup.com, simply because those are a lot of words strung together. And so sometimes people will misspell consulting or they might misspell group, and then it doesn't take them to my website. So sticking with womacCG was an easier name for me. When you have different words strung together, it's usually a good idea to uppercase to be case sensitive. And some people think like, oh no, it has to be all lowercase, but domain names are not case sensitive. So if you type it in all lowercase or you type it in all uppercase, it doesn't matter. It only recognizes the letters. So you can use the case sensitive when you are printing your domain name so that you can help to break up the words if you decide to go with that strategy. I know there are some churches that might be like St. Charles AMEZ. So you might do the S capital, the C capital, and then the AMEZ, and then it looks more like a word, and then people are able to understand what it's supposed to say. But sometimes if it's all lowercase letters, then it can be kind of hard to read. Most domain names are renewable annually, or you can renew them for multiple years. Hey, we have a question. Where'd it go? Oh, hello. What could cause the sound? Oh no, okay, so you can't hear me. Let me check on that. It might be the sound on my computer. So hold on, give us just a second. Let's check on. Definitely want you guys to be able to hear. And I might have, hold on, let me put my headphones in and see if that works better. Do I have my headphones? Oh, here we go. Yeah, sometimes that microphone, the microphone in the headset works better. So let's try that. All right, I'll talk for a few minutes and then you guys can let me know if that sounds better. What about this stuff happening? Okay. All right, so domain names. Domains are typically renewable for annually. So each year you'll have to pay for your domain name, or you can purchase it for multiple years. I typically purchase my domain names through Google. So if you go to domains.google.com, then you will be able to search for, or hopefully, oh yeah, so you'll be able to search for the domain name that you want. So let's say you have a church and you want to you want to get a website domain name, and it might be missionary AMEZ. So you type that in and then it will search and it'll let you know what's available. So you can do missionaryamez.com for $12 per year. And with Google domains, the reason I like using them is because they also include forwarding addresses. So you may be like, oh, that sounds cool, but what does that mean? Well, so funny story, while we're waiting for this to load, I had a company to contact me and they said, oh, we need your admin assistant's email address. And I'm thinking, I'm a solopreneur. I don't have an admin assistant, but because I think I have about 40 email accounts that I can use, I just went in. And so to configure your email, I set up admin@womacCG.com. And look where it goes. It goes to the same place at womacCG goes. So if you buy your domain name through Google for $12, you also get up to 100 email addresses that you can forward. So let's say you want to have one for your pastor. So it'd be pastor at whatever the domain name is. And then you just have it forwarded to the email address that they normally use. So that way you don't have to check another email account, because all the emails go to your regular email, but you don't have to share your email address. That's also really popular if you have officers in the church. So let's say you have a preacher steward, you want to have them, you want to give them an email address, you have your CED director, you want them to have an email address. But if they end up changing positions and someone else has it, and that one and all the emails have been going to that person's personal email address, and God forbid they leave on bad terms, they're not going to forward you the email. And set up CED at missionaryamez.org. And then you put in the email address that you want it to be forwarded to, and then all those emails will go to that person's email address. And then if something happens and they decide to leave, you just go in, you click the edit, and then you can change the email address that it starts to go to again. But that's one way that you can keep from people basically having all the information. I've seen some churches where like a secretary will get mad and they decide that they're gonna leave, and then the church doesn't have any way to get access to all the emails. And sometimes it may be the bills are coming to that email address. And so the church doesn't have any way to get access to that information because everything was going to the person's personal email addresses. So that's one of the reasons I like using Google. And most of the domain names are around $12 per year, but there may be something. So like there's some email accounts that are like really popular. So let's see, like branded.com. Like, so you'll see that there's some, like if it's a really common name, it's not going to be available, but then they'll show you some different options that might be close to, and I have no idea what how those are close to branded, but they'll show you some other options. And then you'll see that, I don't know what is so special about this domain name, but it's $110 per year. So you definitely want to make sure that if you find a domain name that you like, don't just assume, and why is this one $720 a year? So don't just assume that it's $12 and then hit the little cart button, but you want to definitely look up whatever the domain name that you want and then see how much it costs. It should be around $12 per year. So do we have any questions? Oh, I do see we have a question. Oh. Do we have? No, that's not what I want. So do we have any questions? No? Okay. Can you all hear me better? Let's hope so. Okay. All right. So, and I was kind of freaking out because my little thing is lit up and I didn't know why it was lighting up. So after you get your domain name, the next thing we're going to look at is what's the purpose of your website. So what do you want your website to do? So let's say you want an information only website. This is a site that I created for a client, and he has a consulting company, and he basically just wanted to have information about his business. So his site doesn't really do anything. It's just a basic information. You can go to his bio page, you can go to his social media page, where you can contact him directly. But that's basically all he wanted his site to do. So that was really easy to design. Most sites will have a contact page. Click on it. They'll have a contact page. You can share your address if you want, email, as much information as you want. Do you want a site that has a blog stream? One of the things that we did with the IMLA website, because they released a couple of statements last week. So it's like, okay, how do we put the statements on there so that they don't end up adding like 2 or 3 additional pages? So we created a blog stream. And so Dr. Witherspoon was able to put the statements on here. They're categorized by date. So that way, like if your pastor is sending out different announcements, or if you're sending or making statements, then you can do them as a stream. And I'll show you guys the back end of how that works and one of the really cool features of it. And then you see that you can share it. So if you have announcements that you want to post on your website, you can post them each week as a blog post, and then you can encourage people to go and share it. And you'll also be able to see the stats for people who like it. So, so that's one way that you can use a blog stream. So if you want to post regular announcements, then that could be a good option. do you want to sell merchandise? So some people have, t-shirts that they want to sell, or they have fish fries that they're doing. They want people to be able to prepay for the plates. This is a client that we just released his book last month, and we also set up a line of posters. These are some of the characters from the book. So we have a poster line, and then we have a t-shirt line. And so people are able to go on. And we use a drop ship company. And I don't know if you're familiar with drop shipping or not, but that's where you don't have to maintain an inventory. So you'll see that he has all of these colors of shirts, and he does not have to buy not one shirt. Once people click through here to purchase their shirt, then the order goes directly to the company. The company prints the shirt and they send it directly to him, to the customer. And so that's a great way if you decide that you want to sell merchandise. I know this company does backpacks, they do t-shirts, coffee mugs, he has hoodies, the posters. So if you want to have an additional revenue stream for your church, then you can always set up an online store. So you just select the size, and it shows you what colors is available in, add to cart. You enter like your church's bank account information, and the money goes directly into your bank account for the profit of whatever people purchase. So, do you want to have a store? Do you want to sell stuff? And you can sell books, you can sell registrations, you can sell fish plates, whatever you want to sell, you can set up a store on your site as well. You can also process event registrations. I know a lot of people use programs like Eventbrite or Cvent or some type of secondary source where you're sending people away from your website to actually register for an event. But you'll see with this event for the National Association of African American Honors Programs, we were able to do the event registration through the website. So people select if they're a student and they're a member institution, and then when they click register, so sometimes you want additional information, so you're able to set up a registration form and you can customize it to get all the information that you want to get about them. And some of you may have gone through this process for the IMLA. We set them up to do the online registration. And so once it comes in on the back end, then you get an email saying you received a sale for, however much you're selling the tickets for. And then you can also print off reports on the back end. So that way, once you get the email just to kind of know that someone registered, then you can also download it as an Excel document. So that way, if you don't want to have to keep using Eventbrite, then you can use your own website, and it charges the fee. So once you click register, then it adds this to the cart. So if people want to buy a t-shirt, they want to buy a lapel pin, they want to buy a registration, they can do it all through your website. Then of course, if you want to have an event calendar, I think that's one of the most used features on church websites are their event calendars, because a lot of times we want to know, oh yeah, there's a program on Sunday, but what time is that program? And so calendar, then people can go and they can see, oh, the district conference is going to be on April 13th through the 14th. And you can always add like additional information. I think it allows you to add the location. If you want to add a picture, if you want to add who's preaching, you can put all of that in there. And that's a great way for people to stay connected and to know what's happening at the church. So yeah, so she did it on here. And it'll also show you a map. So if you're inviting people, then you can send them to your website. So you'll see up here the link. And I think someone asked me about hyperlinks. So like if you take this link and you copy it and you put it in an email and say, go to this link to actually register or to see, what's on our event calendar, then when you put it in the body of the email, it will become a hyperlink and someone can click on it and then it will bring them to this page. And it's like, oh, okay, that's what's going on. And if you wanted to have some type of registration attached to it, then that would look more like this page where them to the page and they would be able to register. And you can also put items on sale. So the regular registration for this event is $200, but it's on sale for, this is their early bird for $175. So instead of marking it down and people think that it's $175 all the time, they can see, oh, at some point it's going to be $200, but right now it's $175. So, oh no. So you can design a photo gallery. This is one of my clients who has been featured on The Knot. She just did a cake for the MTV Sweet 16 show or what have you. And so she has a photo gallery so that people can kind of see the different cakes that she has to sell. And then they're able to go and order online as well. So having photo galleries is really important, especially of different events that we have, because you want to give people an idea of what it looks like. And we're going to talk about pictures. So I'm not going to get too deep into that, but we're going to talk about pictures and images in just a little while. And then finally, why do I keep doing that? And then finally, you can receive prayer requests. So that's something that you can have people to come to your website. And if they want to email a prayer request, then they can do that. Or you can create a form for people to have to submit a prayer request. Or you can have them sign up for your email list on your website. So that's a great way. If someone's on your website, they're probably interested in you and what you do. So that's a great time to ask them to share their email address and see if they want to sign up, so that when you have a program coming up or something is happening, then you can email them directly instead of just posting it on Facebook and hoping that they connect. One of the ways that I communicate with the people who signed up for these webinars is because we ask them to email address. And so I make sure that I send out an email the day after with a copy of the presentation. And that way I can communicate with them directly rather than just going on Facebook and it's like, well, whoever might see it will get it, but everyone who's interested gets it directly in their email account. So do we have any questions about the different purposes of websites or what websites are able to do before we move on? No? Everybody's good? Awesome. So the next thing we're going to look at are different website platforms. So these are the three most popular, I think, and I know that there are more out there than these, but these are the three most popular that I've come across with people. Some people design on the Wix platform, and real quick so you guys can see what it looks like. And you might even have a site on Wix or know someone who has a Wix site. So they have really dynamic sites. Let me go back to the features. So you have unlimited bandwidth, which means you can put as much stuff on your web page as you want, but you have 20 gigabytes of storage. And so what that means is if you're adding pictures or you're adding videos, then you cannot exceed 20 gigabytes in the plan that starts at around $14 per month. But you can set up an online store, and then you can do a form builder similar to what we were talking about as far as getting people registered for events and selling merchandise. So you can do that through Wix, and it starts at about $14 per month to have the package that does all of these things. The next one that's really popular is GoDaddy. A lot of people design in GoDaddy. And some of these platforms, if you purchase your hosting for the whole year, then they will give you a free domain name. But the only drawback with that is the free domain name does not come with the email addresses. So that's why I typically, if you get a free domain name, then you might have like a second name that you want. So if you're like missionaryamez.org and you want that to be your main one, then I would buy that one through Google. And that's what your email accounts are going to be tied to. But then you can also have missionaryamez.com, because some people will accidentally type .com instead of .org, but then you have them both going into the same place. So yeah, a lot of people design on GoDaddy. They have website packages. So you can do WordPress, you can set up an online store. They say that you can design a site in under an hour. And the reason why is because there aren't a lot of customization options that are available with their site. So once you go in and you kind of pick the template, then you're very limited in what you can do. I designed on GoDaddy, I think for the first like 7 or 8 years that I was designing websites. And then you can design in Squarespace. Squarespace is a little more expensive, but in my opinion, and that's where all of the sites that you've seen have been designed in, it allows you more functionality. And so I'm just going to show you the behind the scenes of a Squarespace site, only because I don't have any current sites with Wix and with GoDaddy that I can show you, because I don't share clients' information. But to set up the site, you would set up your account, and then you go into pages, and then you're able to just add the pages that you want. So you can, so if you say, okay, I want to have a political strategy page, then it'll, well, actually we can do a sample page. So we're going to call this sample. And so you'll see that it gives you layout options. And so if you're really good, you can start with the blank canvas, and then you just add the elements that you want, or it gives you these templates. And so you say, all right, you know, I want to have a list of information, or I want a contact page, or I want to post some details. So I know I'm going to have a picture, and I'm going to say a couple of things about the picture, another picture, a couple of things about it. If you have like features, so this is really good if you're listing like your ministries. So you would give like the ministry title, and then you could list either the officers for each one. And these little images are pictures that you can add. It gives you the text spaces so you can say what you want to say. So it gives you lots of different options. So let's see, we're going to pick one. We'll pick this one. And so you see here, it will allow me to have to start editing. So then here it will allow me to go in, and this is where I would add my picture. And then over here is where I would do my typing. And so you have headings. So it's a lot like a Word document. You have headings. And so my heading, if I want to do heading 1, then it's a big blue. If I do heading 2, then it's whatever this font is, and then we have heading 3. And so if you want to add, like, let's say you want to add a button because you want it to be able to do something. So you just slide the little button right here. You say, where do I want it to say learn more. And then where do I want it to go? I want it to go to another page. So it might go to the upcoming events page. So we have our button, it goes to the upcoming events page, and you can play around with this little thing. So it shows you all the different options that you're able to add. If you want to embed a video, then you just come here. We're going to talk about video a little bit later. But you have like your YouTube link. You just type in the YouTube link, and then it will show the video, similar to this guy's page. So they send me a YouTube link, and then I just put it in, and then it shows the whatever the picture is, and then when people press play, then it goes directly to whatever the video is. And then if you want to have a caption underneath, then you can do that. So let's see, what else do we have? What else fun do we have in here? So you can add picture galleries if you want. You can put a form. You can add a newsletter sign up, your calendar. So that's really cool because it allows you to basically create whatever you want on your different pages. And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. So does anyone have any questions about this part? And then the other thing, like I was saying, like this platform is a little more expensive. And one of the reasons why is because if you're working with a website designer. So website designers and website developers are two different things. So a website developer is someone who's actually going in and they're writing code for your website. So they're going to make you a website that does something very specific. And that's why they are a lot more expensive. I'm a website designer. So I go in and find the perfect template for you, and then I customize it with your content. I'm not going to write code to make your website do something really special. It's going to be sort of basic, but then it'll have like all the different elements that you need. But if you want a website that's maybe going to integrate with some other website and do like a lot of fancy stuff, then you're going to start paying into the thousands of dollars for a developer, but designers are usually less expensive, because one of the things that we do is to help you with your branding. We will go in and create the color scheme. So you'll see, like, this is my logo. So I go in, and these are all the options that you have to set up the margins for the site, to set the colors, to set what color the hyperlink. So this is the hyperlink. So you can set what color the hyperlink is going to be. So instead of having just a basic website that looks like everyone else's website, you can take the same template and customize it so that it's specific to your brand. So like when these people came to me, this was their logo. And so we built the colors around their logo design. Came to me, this was her logo, and she wanted something really simple and basic that used these colors. So you'll see we were able to build out based on her color scheme. So that's one of the reasons why when you're working on your website design, the first thing you want to do is figure out, do you have a logo? And if you don't have a logo, you probably want to get one designed, or you want to figure out, what is going to be the image for our church, because these little icons up here are called favicons. So, and I think that's how you say it, but this is like where your logo goes. And if someone shares a link to your site, then this is the little image that's going to pop up. So you'll see sometimes when you share a link to someone's site, or someone shares their link, then this picture automatically pops up. And sometimes it is the little favicon if you've also used it as your social sharing link. And again, that's what your web designer would know how to go in and do. So you might see a website that doesn't have anything up there. And so either the site that you're hosting with doesn't offer that option, or the web designer didn't go in and set that up for you. But you definitely want to know, what's your logo design? What color scheme do you want to work with? So once you have your logo, then usually that's going to influence your color scheme. And then also your font style. So I like really thin letters. And so those are the types of letters that I use throughout the site. They like kind of like more bold letters. And so those are the types of fonts that we use throughout the site. And then she likes scripted letters, and then she likes the really thin letters that are really light also. So that's what we use throughout the site. But that just shows you how you're able to customize your site so that it is specific to your brand. And then of course you can add your social sharing buttons on there. So that way, if you have a Facebook page and a LinkedIn and Twitter, then you can put all of that on your website, so that if people are trying to find you online, then your website is the perfect place for them to go and get that information. And a lot of times we do it the other way around. We send people to our social site and then want them to go to the website, but you want to train people to go to your website. So if Facebook shuts down tomorrow because they don't want to follow the congressional rules, and you've been sending everybody to your Facebook page, then how are they going to get information about you once Facebook shuts down? We're not claiming Facebook to shut down, but we're saying just in case. So any questions about web design or the different hosting platforms? No? Good deal. So, let's check. So the next thing to look at is content. So what do you want to have prepared? This is one of the areas that so many people get stuck on when they're working on their website design, is figuring out, what am I going to put on the website? Well, most websites have a homepage. So that's the first page that people see when they get to your website. I recommend that people don't put a lot of content on the homepage. You want your homepage to be more buttons that's going to link to different things, because you want to encourage people to explore your site. This is a site that we did a really nice homepage for. And so they have their project gallery and then the services that they offer. So instead of trying to put all of that stuff on their homepage, they said view our project gallery. Or if you're interested in decks, click here. If you're interested in floors, click here. So a lot of people are tempted to try to put everything on the home page to get people's attention, but you want to encourage them to click around through your website. So the see more, the learn more, the customer reviews, schedule an appointment, you always want to give people something to click on so that they explore your site. So that's your home page. You can do a page about the AME Zion Church, but if you don't want to actually, type out like everything about the AME Zion Church, you can actually create a link. So let me see if I have one. Oh, so they have one on their site. So you can actually create a link in your menu bar. So here for their thdt.tv. So when people click on this in their menu bar, it actually takes them to their YouTube page. So if you have something, or your Facebook, well, you don't have to do that because you'll have like the social icon. But if you want to share information about the AME Zion Church, but you don't want to post, or you don't want to copy and paste all AME Zion stuff, then you can have it in the menu, or you just set it as a link, and then it'll take them to the AME Zion page. And you can have it where it opens in a new window, so it doesn't shut them out of your website and they have to try and get back to it, but it just opens that information in a new window. Then, of course, you want to have information about your church. So, your church history, some of the maybe projects that you all have going on. You can have a page about your ministries, a page about your pastor. Most people want to know who's the pastor of the church, who am I going to hear preaching. So that's a great place if you want to have, maybe a video clip or a link to the pastor's YouTube page or the live stream. Then you can put that on his or her page. And if you want to do the announcements, like we talked about, using the blog feature, so that way each week you can go in. Great things about the blog feature is you can schedule it. So some people feel like, I gotta wait until Monday morning to post this so that, to go out to everybody. No, you don't have to do that. You can actually, if you're, sitting around on Thursday night watching Scandal and you want to put together the announcements for next week, then you can schedule it where it'll go out on Monday morning and then it'll post to everybody's social media. So that's one of the things I love about the blog feature. Definitely an event calendar. People want to know what's happening at the church, your online store, photo gallery, and then your contact page. So if you're thinking about designing or having a website designed for your church, those are some of the basic pages that you want to get started with. And then you can always add pages. So it's not like once you have the website designed, then you're all done. And that's why I'm an advocate for Squarespace, because it is one of the easiest platforms for you to design on. Once your designer goes in and sets all of your colors and sets all of your fonts, all you have to do is add a page, and then you can put the picture where you want, and it's all drag and drop. So you drag the picture here, you put a text box over here, and you start typing. And once you save it, then it's published. So it's not like you have to do something else in order to, make it go live. So it's so easy to work with. And I have people of all ages who are managing their own sites. So once I do the design, I hand it off to them and they're able to manage their own sites. They're able to update it as often as they want to. They don't have to call me every week like, hey, Lakeisha, can you add this to our website? Hey, can you do this to our website? All they do is log in and they're able to do it on their own. And it also gives you the ability to have different contributors at different levels. So if you don't want everyone to be able to do announcements, or if you have someone who's in charge of the store, then you can set those permissions in the contributors level. So that way one person isn't having to do everything for the site, or you don't have everyone with access to the account information of the site. So you're able to manage that as well, which I think is awesome. Let's see. All right. Any questions before we move on to content? Any questions about content? I always say proofread, less is more. On your church history, you might want to go, more detailed, because most people are kind of interested in the history of the church. But when you're doing bios of people, 250 words or less. If someone requests a bio from you, please don't send them a resume. It's like, that really just kind of gets to me. If I request your bio and I get your resume, because then you're gonna let me write my version of a story. So I think everybody should have a short bio, 250 words or less, and then a longer bio. You want to use your short bio on your website. For your pastor, you might do a longer bio, but it has to be some really good stuff. Otherwise, people just stop reading and they could miss the great stuff that's at the very end. And then with your ministries, use more pictures than words so that people can see what you're doing, because unfortunately we live in a society where people just don't want to read a lot of stuff. So instead of trying to make them behave the way we want them to behave, we have to work with them from where they are. So use a lot of pictures and be concise with your with the language that you use or the descriptions. Any questions? That's what I was asking. Questions? Anybody? Wonderful. So we will go to images and videos. You definitely work with the graphic designer to get dynamic images. So the difference between like a great site and a site that's just like, are the images. One of the reasons I love this site is because they had a graphic designer to do the flyers for the site. So the first thing you see, it has a clean background, but the welcome sign, like, it really brings you into the website. And then they use their logo. This is a YouTube video. But then to highlight their Sunday celebration and their Bible study, they have some really nice graphics design. And that's the kind of thing that really draws people's attention to your site. You can also purchase images. So for this site, this isn't an actual home that they remodel, but they purchased this image because the first thing that you see, it really kind of gives you a wow, like, that's really cool type vibe. Whereas when you're just remodeling a kitchen, you're probably not going to get the same effect by using this image. So you do want to show some realistic images. If your church is not a cathedral church, like, don't buy pictures of a cathedral church. If your church only has like 30 people in it, don't buy stock photos that have like 100 people in it, because people are going to come to your church and think that they're in the wrong place. So you want to use images that are representative of who you are and what you do, but just in a better quality. So as you can see from that remodel kitchen picture, it looks almost like this kitchen top, but this picture is just a much better picture than this. So it looks close enough to, it's like, wow, they could have done that, but it's just a really professional, great picture. So always make sure that you find pictures that are reflective of whatever you're promoting, so that people don't feel like they've been cheated. They've been cheated by you. Also, when you are taking pictures, if you haven't at your church, framing is everything. Can't tell you the number of times, like, I've seen pictures that people will take of like the congregation, and it's like 3 people in the congregation. If you post that on your website, nobody's probably going to come and visit your church because they think that there is nobody there. So if you want to do a congregational picture, get everybody to slide over and then take a picture of that angle of the church, so it at least looks like you have some people there. But if you and even when you're having special events, try to get the fullest part of the room, or frame the picture so that it looks like it's a full room. And avoid taking pictures of, just single people and posting them on the site, because then people have a tendency to want to stop scrolling. So, try to get as many group pictures as possible, and then let people know that they're featured on the website. And so that goes into being strategic about the pictures that you place. You don't want like 200 pictures and they're all, and I've seen some people post pictures where it's like 5 pictures of the same thing. You know how you just keep pressing a button to get a good picture? You don't have to post all of those pictures on there. Pick out the best pictures, the best 10, 15 pictures, and post the best ones. And sometimes you might have to crop them. So you crop out some background stuff, but don't just post the pictures directly from your phone without taking some time to make sure that it's a good reflection of your church or the event or the ministry, and it's inviting, and people will want to come and say, hey, I want to be a part of that. And then upload the videos. And we talked about this a little bit when I was showing you the videos here. So all they did was they uploaded the videos and then they sent me the link, and then we just, I embedded it, and I'll change it out whenever they send me a new link, and then it shows up on the site. And so that keeps you from having to try to upload it onto. And you may say, well, why wouldn't I want to do that? Well, the more data that's stored on a page, the longer it takes the page to load. Have you ever tried to go to a website and it took forever for the page to load, and sometimes you just close the page because you don't want to wait? Well, that's what happens when you have a lot of data that has to be transmitted for the page to open. So with videos, it's typically best that you embed them versus having them housed on the website, because they take a long time. This one's only 18 minutes, but some videos are like 30 or 45 minutes, and that will take forever for it to load. So you want to make sure that you embed the links for video. And video is the same thing. You know, if you're going to do video, then you don't want to have, you know, an empty, showing like the emptiest part of your sanctuary. Like, I don't know what it was like in this worship service, but just looking at this picture, it looks like it was a whole lot of people, God. And that makes you like, oh yeah, like this is where I want to be. This is where I want to worship. But if they take a picture and it's like half the seats are empty and everybody's just sitting there kind of staring at you, then that's really not where people are going to want to worship. So you definitely want to be conscious of that. You can hire people to edit your videos for you. They'll charge you a couple of $100. So if it's worth it to you, you can definitely do that. Let's see, we talked about the graphic designers for your images. And we did do graphic design 101, and I showed you guys like Canva, which would allow you to do some flyers. Like you may not be able to do them this fancy just because you will be just getting started, but you can definitely do like some flyers through Canva, which is one of the tools that we discussed. Any questions? As we are almost done. And I'm sorry if I'm a little laggy tonight, but it's been a long week, as I'm sure you all can imagine. Questions, comments, concerns, websites 101. Anybody? Put in the chat if we have any questions. Good. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. I know we're only 45 minutes in, but if we don't have any other questions, then I definitely thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for being patient with me this evening. Next month, our last webinar, we'll be doing email marketing 101. So once you get the email address, so once we have our graphics together, we have figured out how we're going to use social media, we've set up our website. Now we want to start marketing to people. We want to start reaching out and pulling them in. So in the next session, we're going to talk about what do you do with the email addresses? How do you create lists? How do you write subject lines that get people's attention? How do you design different templates so that you're not having to redo the email every time? And any questions that you all have, feel free to bring them next week. So with all that being said, thank you all so very much for all of your support and being on the webinar. If you need to connect with me, I'm all over social media, but you can also email me. If you're interested in having a website designed, you can definitely contact me, and I'll talk you through it, and then see if I'm the person to help you, or if you need to, hire a developer, or what would be the best steps for you. And they also have membership sites. I forgot all about membership sites. But membership sites are where, so like with Squarespace, let's say you have your website set up and you want to have a members only section where you talk about member stuff. You might want to share reports. You might want to share, some of the internal workings of the church that you don't want everyone else to have access to, or you want to create like profiles so that people can network. And again,
that keeps people from feeling like the only way they can socialize is through Facebook. You can also add membership. I think it's called Member Space with Squarespace. And I forget what it's called. Something wildapricot.com. And we can look at that real quick since we have a couple of seconds. But Wild Apricot is a sorry, I can't talk and type at this. Wild Apricot is a membership-based website. And so it allows you to create, and you can do, so if you want to have people paying like their membership through your site, then they can do that, and it automatically manages it for you. So a lot of associations use member space. So like chambers of commerce and different things, but it's also good for nonprofits and churches because it gives you the opportunity to post events, to charge different prices for events. So it might be cheaper for members than it will be for the general public. But Wild Apricot, and I'll have to add that to the list, is a great membership-based site. And most of these sites will give you like a 30-day free trial. So that gives you time to get the site designed. When you're working with a designer, like always ask them, what is their turnaround time? And don't ever pay the whole design fee up front. Pay them half up front and then half when they finish the site, because you don't want to end up putting all of your money and your eggs into one basket. Ends up taking them forever, or they don't finish the site. And then always get like some type of contract or something in writing saying exactly how many pages they're going to design for you, what their turnaround time is going to be, what type of additional support or maintenance they're going to offer you, and and how much is it going to cost? I don't know if I said that already, but those are the things that you want to make sure that you get from them. But the biggest thing is turnaround, because some people will say, oh yeah, I'll do it for you. Okay. So what is a landing? So a landing page it's like a home page, but it's used mostly for people who are doing marketing. So it is basically just like a one-page website. But typically there's a call to action at the bottom. And with MailChimp, they allow you to design landing pages, but it's usually geared toward either you're trying to get people to buy something, them to sign up for something, or you're trying to get them to do something. So it's going to take them somewhere else. But usually the format of landing pages is very salesy. So it's more of like a sales page. So you couldn't use a landing page like for your website, because it's not going to allow you to have as much data stored on there, if that makes sense. So web hosting. So web hosting is what we talked about when I was going through the different platforms. So what this means is you have your domain name, and then when you have your website, all the data that your website contains has to live somewhere. And it's basically like up in the cloud. So you choose which company is going to hold all of the data that your website has. I think Wix has like a free version, and then WordPress.com has like a free website. I advise people to stay on free websites because, one, you're going to end up having like their branding stuff on your site, and two, you don't get all the customizations that you would get through a designed website. A lot of times, like, they're not going to let you have the store. If you have a calendar, it's going to be very limited. So it might be like, oh, you can post like 10 events or something, and you'll end up getting really frustrated. Okay. Wait, this is where I was going. Oh, you're welcome. Awesome. Yeah. So you need hosting and domain. So typically you're going to have 3 fees when you get a website design. You're going to have your domain fee. And like I said, buy your own domain. You're going to have your hosting. So when you contact your web designer, you want to kind of use some of this information to talk to them about what your vision is for your website, what the time frame is. Ask, which platforms do they design on? If they say they do like Joomla, run, because you will never be able to update it, or you'll be able to update it, but it's going to be a pain and it's probably going to be ugly. So you want them to design you a site in a platform that you can manage, because that saves you money in the long run. Some designers don't like that because that's how they make their money. They charge you a couple of $100s a month or they charge you more hundreds of dollars per quarter for them to go in and make updates. But then again, you're at the whim of their schedule. So they may be out of town on vacation and you need something added to the website, or you needed something updated and you have to wait until they get around to it. So by having a website design that you're able to go in on the back, you're able to go in on the back end and do the updates, then that saves you money and it gives you and your team, whoever's going to be working with you, control. I do have a couple of clients that I do like web maintenance for, and it's because we agreed that they're not going to need a lot of stuff. Like they're not going to be emailing me every week. They might once a month or once every couple of months, and then I go in and do that for them. So on here, you'll see the cost for the different hosting platforms. So usually about $14 to $18 per month. So it's usually about 250. I would budget like 250 for your domain and your hosting. And then your design fee, once you talk to your web designer, that's going to be dependent on them. But altogether, even working with like your graphic designer, I would budget anywhere from $750 to $1,000 to get your website up and going. Any other questions? I love questions. All right. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Um, I just want you guys to be empowered. Like, you know, life is too short to have ugly websites. So, but I also like don't want you to be taken advantage of. So I don't want you all to go out and then, you know, people are telling you like, oh yeah, you know, you need this and you need that. And you end up, and I've seen people spend a lot of money that they did not need to spend trying to get a website done. So hopefully when I email you guys this presentation, then you kind of have an idea of, you know, what to talk about with the person that you're going to have to design your site. And you can even go and look at other sites and say, okay, you know, this is kind of, you know, what I want my site to look like, or, you know, what I want it to do. And a good designer will tell you like, okay, based on the information that you have, the pictures that you have, and your budget, I can do X, Y, and Z for you. And then you'll be able to determine, you know, like, is that what I really want? Or do I want to spend more money? Or do I need to find a different designer? You'll be able to make those decisions. But it's for you to have a base level of information so that you can have those conversations. Oh, and how could I forget the donate button? And you can also have donate buttons on your website. So you always want people to be able to do the online giving. So if you have like Givelify, you'll be able to embed that code. If you use PayPal for giving, you can embed those codes. So that's also very important, because some people who don't go to church and they're watching your live stream, you want to be able to have that donate button at the end so they don't forget to pay their tithes and offerings. So yeah, I think that's good. Alrighty. Well, I will send you guys a wrap up tomorrow morning as usual. You all know that if you have any questions, you can reach out to me at any time and I'll do my best to answer. Or if I don't know the answer, I'll go find the answer or help you find the answer. But, you know, we're all in this together and we want to represent the church and to the best of our ability, because this is our opportunity to fulfill the Great Commission. That's how I see social media. This is the one time where we actually have the power to do as Jesus commanded and to teach and to reach people around the globe with technology. And so we have to do it in excellence, and we have to do it in a way that draws people and makes them want to become a part of what we're doing. So you all have a wonderful, wonderful night. And I will see you, I'll see you next month for our final webinar. Thank you.